Now we're actually going to use the scripts to make the program do what we want it to do and to move the sprites around. So this area is where the scripts are. Each one of these different areas are different types of scripts. You click on it and it tells you what blocks are available. These are all the blocks. These are the different categories of blocks. So we're going to make something that does two things. At the beginning of the game, it will put this where we want it to, which would be probably somewhere in the middle on the right side. And let's use arrow keys to move it up and down. So first of all, one thing, make sure you've saved it if you haven't done that already. And now what we're going to do is move this over here to where we think it should start. So if you start a game, you want it to start in the center. And the way we usually start things in Scratch is with a green flag. So go to the events, pull out a green flag and put it in the scripts area. Then go to motion. And down here it says go to X, go to Y. So let's click this. And we're going to do two things. It's talking about X and Y. What does that mean? Well, let's look at a different backdrop for just a second. So if you go to the backdrop library and go all the way to the very end, I want you to pull out the XY grid and hit OK. So we're not going to use this for the game, but this is good because it tells you all the positions on the screen. The X-axis goes from left to right. It's negative 240 all the way over here. That's 240 pixels from the center. Over here, it's positive 240 all the way to the right. At the top, Y is 180. At the bottom, Y is negative 180. And we want to center this right about there. Okay? So this now shows us a picture here. This is way off center of the drawing area. So let's click this in the corner. It says Set Costume Center. Whoa, okay, this is where it thinks the costume center is, and that's where the actual costume is. So what we need to do is we need to move this. So if you click in the center of your sprite, it will automatically recenter. And you can also move the crosshairs around so it's right in the center and you're happy with it. Because the center of the sprite is where all the commands are directed to. So now it's centered. Great. Now let's go back to the scripts. And we want it to start right about there. So in order to do that, what we need to do is we want it to be right here at about, let's say X will be about 220 and Y will be 0, because that will put it right about there. So the first thing you do is when you click that, what did I say? 220 and 0. So now if we click that, it shows up. That is a great place to start. So what we want on the backdrops, let's go back to our original one, which is the snow. Just so we saw the positioning. Now we'll click the sprite again, the paddle sprite, and look at the script. So yes, when the game starts, we click the flag and it goes here. But now we want to control it. So we want to control it with the up arrow, we'll move it up, and the down arrow will move it down. Well, those are also in the events menu. And we'll pull out two of these because we're going to use two of these when space key is pressed. But we don't want the space key. If you click this little down arrow, you can choose any key on the keyboard more or less. So we want that one that says up arrow, one that says down arrow. And then we'll go back to motion and say when the up arrow is pressed, we want our Y, which is the vertical motion, to change by 10. So we'll take one of these, change Y by 10. And when the down arrow is pressed, we want to change Y by 10. No, just kidding. We do not want to change by 10 because it will do the same thing. We want it to change by negative 10. That will move it down. I'm going to try the keys right now. So if I press the up arrow, it moves up. If I press the down arrow, it moves down. So now we have a paddle sprite right where we want it, and the keys make it go up and down. That is a great step. Let's finish off by saving and going to the next step.